Welcome everyone to the Watford Short Film Festival online edition. My name's James, the festival director, and we have Megan with us. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Amazing. We're here to talk about your film Eden. Thank you for sharing it with us. Tell us a bit about the process behind it and the inspiration. What inspired you to make this film?
Okay, yeah, so Eden is obviously surrounding mental health, and it actually, when I released it, it was released during Mental Health Awareness Week in 2020. And mental health is something that I think very passionately about. I've experienced mental health in many different situations, and I just wanted something to I just wanted to create something to show that, people experience it differently. Um, if anyone who has seen my film, it's quite vague. Um, and the reason I did that was because mental health isn't always, really specific. It is, or it can be seen through the eyes of Eden in a very vague way. She doesn't always know what's happening. And I feel like a lot of people who have experienced mental health difficulties can relate to the fact that it isn't always really easy to understand and to see clearly.
Do you feel having like a personal connection to it makes it easier from a writing standpoint to convey the message to the audience?
I think, yeah, I think it does, purely because obviously you can take your own experiences and portray it into your art. I wouldn't say that anyone who hasn't experienced bad mental health wouldn't be able to portray the same message. I just think that it might be done differently had the writer have experienced it themselves.
And from a production standpoint, from coming up with the idea to getting it out of post-production editing and then sent to film festivals, how long did it take from conception to completion?
So I originally had the idea about a month before. It was quite a quick production process because I wrote, filmed, edited. I did all of the post production and production myself. The only other two people involved in the production were the actors. Um, but as soon as I had the idea, I just knew that I wanted to create it. So probably about a month and a half. Um, but yeah.
Cool. There's a lot of scenes that are shot inside of a car, and I'm wondering from a production standpoint, what are the challenges and the risks involved with filming inside of a car?
Yeah, so obviously it can be a risk because you don't want to distract the driver. But we made sure that the scene, sorry, where you can see the two actors inside the car from the outside. Um, we made sure that we were in a secluded area so that they wouldn't, get distracted. There was no other cars around. Um, and the scenes that were done from within the car, they were all done as again in a safe area where we did think about all of the risks that were involved, and I made sure to get consent from the actor who was driving, and to just make sure that it was all done safely.
Amazing. And your background in film, what inspired you to get into filmmaking and film production?
Well, I'd never actually experienced film from any other place other than watching my friends in their film studies lessons while doing their A levels, um, and I've always had an interest in film and TV and all of these things, and I just thought, why, if I've seen my friends and how passionate they are about it and how much fun they have filming, why wouldn't I try it myself? Because it was my first film that I'd ever made, um, and I found it so fun. I actually chose to then go on and do it at university after just making the one film. But yeah, it was purely just the people who I was surrounded with, and how much they loved it.
it's very impressive for a first film. There's a lot of filmmakers out there that try for the first time and they may not necessarily get the results they want, but this film's very well put together and there's a very
Thank you.
clear and strong narrative, and we're so grateful. From myself and the programming team, we're all grateful that we're able to have your film entered into the festival and able to screen it. It's interesting that you mentioned it's your first time working as, and then obviously you went to pursue it at uni and things like that, but in isolation with just Eden alone, that makes it the first time that you were directing actors as well. What was that like from your perspectives, as it was unknown territory?
Yeah, so I mean, I did drama A level and GCSE, so I've had experience directing actors, just not in front of a camera. Um, and because these two actors are some of my closest friends, it was quite an easy and like smooth flowing process. Um, they're both really professional, and I think I was really lucky with the actors that I chose. That we were able to work together really well, and they just, as soon as I said my idea and as soon as I showed them the script, they knew how to interpret it themselves and to somehow put it across the way that I pictured it so perfectly. So it was really lucky for me to just have these two actors as like some of my really good friends.
With a performing arts background, do you feel there's a difference between in performing arts where you've got like a stage and a set versus filmmaking where you've got people either on location or on a set, and how does that change the way that you would direct your actors?
I think it's massively different. I would never have thought that it was so different until experiencing both sides of it. The first reason would be how natural acting has to be in front of a camera versus on a stage where you have to really over exaggerate all of your movements and stuff. Um, so yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah, it's definitely a lot different in terms of directing. I feel like it all comes back to the same point. When you're directing in theatre, you want to make sure that all of the actors are portraying the message to a live audience, and so it has to be really big and like just crazy. Whereas in front of a camera, it needs to be really naturalistic and more human. I think it just has to be as if as if the camera's not there. Um, yeah, it's just very different.
And for you as a director, what's the main message that you'd like your audience to take away from Eden?
I just think that like my main message would be just is that mental health is valid and it can come in so many different forms, and I think any way that anyone has experienced mental health can know that there is always going to be someone else that has experienced it in the same way. With Eden, obviously she is quite blindsided by it, and so anyone who watches my film who experiences mental health the same way can know that from the writer's perspective, from my perspective, that it is completely valid as well as everyone else's. Yeah.
It's interesting that you touch upon sort of mental health and its portrayal in the media. Do you feel that the media is beginning to improve in its process of portraying mental health?
Yeah, I definitely think it is. I think that more so with people my age who create different forms of media, mental health is such a big thing within people my age, in my age group, and I think the more people who create media of any form, whether it's artwork, film, TV, music, around that surrounds mental health, I think it just boosts how much people talk about it. I think there is a common theme where mental health is sort of not a lot of people want to talk about it, but I definitely feel like with the more young people who create art surrounding mental health, it is definitely boosting how much people talk about it.
That's great. And at the festival ourselves, we have filmmakers of ranging abilities. Some of them are professionals, some of them are students. some are really interested in the art of filmmaking, but they don't necessarily feel confident to make films. So it would be interesting to get your perspective as somebody, as Eden was your first, like your directorial debut as a filmmaker. What advice would you give to people who are thinking about making the move into making films?
I would say just go for it. Literally, as soon as I had the first idea that I wanted to try it out, I I tried it and I loved it instantly. I would just say just take a chance on it. If you haven't, if you're thinking about it, just do it. You can do it with your phone. It doesn't even need to be shot on a crazy camera. You can just, it's so easy, and the production process is so fun, especially with you, like with the people that you do it with. If you have a huge team, or if you have just yourself and a friend, like it's just it. Yeah, it's so fun. Just do it. Try it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing the film with us. We really appreciate being able to share it to the audience here at Watford. Um, what are you currently working on, and where can people find more of your work?
So I'm more so right now just working on like my university projects, but I have a portfolio that is online. I don't actually know what the link for it is, um, but yeah, I do have a portfolio. I also have a YouTube, which is Megan, or it's like Megan Gray at youtube.com, whatever. Um, and it has my film Eden, some music videos that I've recorded and produced. Yeah, that's it.
Well, there we are. Thank you so much for joining this Q&A, Megan. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
To everyone watching at home, we hope you're enjoying the Watford Short Film Festival, and we hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.